Good morning, everyone. It's Stephen Whiteside here from the uptrend.com with your morning market outlook for Monday, July 20th, 2026. In the pre-market this morning, things are fairly stable. Stock index futures are above fair value. Now, last night we had a lot more volatility in the commodity world. We had gold down over $100 last night, and we also had crude oil higher. We had Brent crude trading over 90. We had West Texas crude trading up a couple of bucks. That has all reversed this morning, and we do have stock index futures up. The Nasdaq futures are up less than 1% at the moment. So, yeah, we're trading higher in the pre-market this morning. That doesn't mean we're going to unwind what happened on Friday. Now, on Friday, we had the VIX back on a buy signal, the VIX for the Nasdaq back on a buy signal. For the Russell, we're still waiting. So we do have a buy signal for the VIX ETFs, and if you've been waiting for a buy signal, there it is. Now, in the world of chips, we had a lot of sell signals generated on Friday. Of course, you'll check what's happening in the pre-market this morning. Most things are trading higher. Whether they're going to unwind what happened on Friday or not is another story altogether. Looking at the SMH ETF, we made a new low on Friday. We're still stuck to the 562.50 level. We haven't broken away from that just yet. Some people are talking about this head and shoulders pattern, and if that pattern is what the market's going to follow, then we should see a move down to the 437.50 level. But that hasn't started yet. We're still stuck to the 562.50 level. Now, NVIDIA is still on a buy signal here, and of course, it's the biggest component in the SMH. Things would change on Monday with a close below $200.25. Now, the pros are not in control right now. You can see that they were in control. It ran up to resistance at 212.50 and then has started to come back. We traded below 200 on Friday, but certainly did not close below that level. You can see that if we start breaking down below 200, then 187.50 is our next mathematical target. And of course, we expect some psychological support at 190. Right now, we're still closing above the 100-day moving average, and you can see that we recently ran down in June down towards the 200-day moving average. Now, the NASDAQ 100, of course, came into Friday on a sell signal. We're still holding 587.50 as support, so that hasn't changed. The pros are certainly not in control of the NASDAQ at the present time. You can see that momentum started to fall off at the start of June. So that, unfortunately, is what the current situation looks like. We've made a series of lower highs over the past few weeks. Now, looking at the Canadian market, of course, you can trade the NASDAQ on the TSX, and it's on a sell signal holding 68.75 at the moment. Now, the Canadian technology sector has been on a sell signal for the past 3 days, so that did not change on Friday. The biggest component, of course, is Shopify, which had an inside week last week, and on Friday it was down 1.44%. Still on a buy signal here. Things would change on Monday with a close below $168.37. Now, when we look at the Canadian market and we sort the most active list by dollar volume, you can see the banks are way up at the top there. The makeup the Canadian market, of course, totally different than the U.S. market. All of our big companies eventually get bought out. The banks can't be bought out. That's why they're still there. Some companies are just too big to buy out. But we've had companies picked off over the years. The Canadian market, when I was younger, in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, was much more diversified. You would have seen Seagram's up here and Inco and Falconbridge and just a whole bunch of companies that have been bought out over the years. So, yeah, we're heavily weighted in the financials. Now, we've recently been watching the TD Bank run up to 175. It hit that last week. So if you had an order there, congratulations, it got filled. The high last week was $175.33. So we'll have to see if that is the stopping point for the TD Bank. I won't go through the price targets for the other bank, but there's the Royal Bank bouncing off the upper channel line on Friday. We've got the Bank of Montreal trading above the upper channel line. The CIBC made a new high on Friday. Looking at the Bank of Nova Scotia, still closing above the upper channel line, so no change there. Shopify, we already talked about. Canadian Natural Resources, energy sector, we expect it to continue to move higher from here. I don't know why crude oil is lower in the pre-market. The price of crude oil The futures contract is being highly manipulated by the U.S. government right now. The actual cash price that people have to pay for crude oil is much higher than what the futures price indicate at the moment. But you can see for Canadian Natural Resources, we're coming up to our next target of 62.50. We have a big open gap there, and so we may actually try to fill that gap before this rally ends. Looking at Celestica, new low for Celestica on Friday. You can see the pros gave up control in the third week of June, and it has been moving lower ever since. 375 is our next target to the downside for Celestica. And you can see that we are trading below the 200-day moving average. We're still stuck to it, but closing below that level at the moment. Looking at the National Bank of Canada, still on a buy signal here, still closing above the upper channel line, so not concerned about a sell signal on Monday. There's Enbridge, and yes, our mathematical target is 81.25, but $80 is acting as resistance. On Friday, the high of the day was $80.01. So you can see that that has been an issue over the past few months. If we can start trading above $80, then 81.25 is our next target. Let's finish off this morning's presentation taking a look at the U.S. market. And again, we're sorting the most active list by dollar volume, and you can see NVIDIA's still at the top of the list. We do have a couple of sell signals here in both the alphabets on Friday. And so if we go through this list, we looked at NVIDIA earlier, looking for a close on Monday below $200.25. Not expecting a sell signal for Apple on Monday. Alphabet, both of them back on sell signals as of Friday's close. Microsoft dipping in the channel on Friday, looking for a close below 381.96. We saw Amazon trade down to the lower channel line on Friday, so a close below $242.98 on Monday would give us a sell signal. Taiwan Semiconductors continuing to move lower on Friday, starting to break away from the 400 and $6.25 level, still stuck to 400, looking for a move down to 375. Broadcom, second day of a sell signal there, holding the recent low. 343.75 is our next target to the downside for Broadcom. Meta trading down to the lower channel line on Friday, looking for a close below $624.77 on Monday. And last up, we've got SpaceX. SpaceX making a new low on Friday, trading slightly higher in the pre-market this morning. I think it's going to $100, but it isn't going to do that on Monday morning. Okay, folks, that is all for this morning's presentation. No big economic numbers coming out this morning, so I think the market is intending to open higher on Monday morning. Have a great day. Next time you'll hear my voice is on Tuesday morning.
Thanks for tuning in until the very end of today's stock market timing educational video. If you found the content valuable, don't forget to express your support by hitting the like button, leave a comment, sharing with your friends, and subscribing to our channel for more insightful updates. Remember, in the world of stocks, tuning in until the very end of today's and stock market timing educational video ally. If you would like more information on how we can help you better time the stock market, hitting the like button, please visit leave a comment, sharing with your friends, and subscribing to our channel for more insightful updates. Remember, in the world of stocks, timing is crucial, and following the trend can be your greatest ally. If you would like more information on how we can help you better time the stock market, please visit theuptrend.com.